Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Auto Amateur. I'm James, and in this video, we are comparing the Soul Performance Sport Cats against the Soul Performance Bypass Pipes. Let's go check it out.
Action.
Yes, so back for another exhaust video. It's been a little while, but that's because I've been putting on the miles on this car using both the Sport Cats and the bypass pipes so that I can come here to make this video and give you some insight into what it's like with running both setups. And I'm also going to give you a sneak preview into the headers that we're putting on right this second. The car is behind me, you can see with the wheels off. The headers are actually on the car. So this video is going to be all about the cats, and then the next video is going to be about the headers, and we're almost there on this Soul Performance exhaust modification journey. All right, let's talk about the products first. First, the Sport Cats. They go for about $3,500, and they're about 3/4 the weight of the factory Cats. They also give you gains around 14 or 15 horsepower, as well as torque gains. So a really nice addition to the car, and they sound absolutely phenomenal. On the other hand, the bypass pipes go for about half price, and they also save you more weight and can deliver more power. So these are about half the weight of the factory Cats, and they give you around 20 horsepower and 20 foot-pounds of torque in addition. So a couple of differences right there off the bat. But what about the sound? How do they sound? Let's go check that out next. Alright guys, let's give it a sound test. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I've put a good few miles on both the bypass setup and the Sport Cat setup. I did about 1,200 miles from Florida to Minnesota, all in one shot after Amelia Island and Works Reunion earlier this year. And then I've just done a tour of the Black Hills with my two boys and some friends with the bypass pipes. And I've got to say, I mean, these bypass pipes, let's give it a go. You get the pops and the crackles, but it's really not that obscene inside the cabin at all. They really sound fantastic, and it's a lot harder to decide between the two variants than I thought it was going to be. I thought the obvious choice was going to be the Sport Cats, But the bypass pipes, having done, just like I mentioned, the Black Hills trip, they were really not very obnoxious at all on the highway, just regular driving, cruising around with the kids. They were absolutely, totally cool. And when we just really hit the gas, and like I'm going to do here now, I mean, it's off the chain. It's absolutely off the chain. So let's just do this real quick. And apologize for my squeaky chair. Launch control. Oh, baby! Oh my goodness. They just sound absolutely phenomenal. So, what will go into this decision? All right, I think people are worried about the drone inside the cabin. I can honestly say the bypass setup that I've got does not give me any noticeable drone inside the cabin that I can't live with. Yes, it's louder than the Sport Cats. They are definitely louder than Sport Cats. You really notice them if you're screaming around corners and you're doing gear changes and, second to third and back to second. And, if you're really driving aggressively, the bypass pipes are going to give you that much more aggressive sound. Regular kind of driving around, honestly, I don't notice the difference that much. Just apart from the fact, yes, you get a few more pops and crackles, and yes, they're a little bit louder. Now, having said all of that, if the regular factory PSE takes what is a 5 out of 10 exhaust sound, frankly, from the factory to a 7 or an 8, the Sport Cats give you a 10 out of 10, absolutely. But the bypass pipes, just like Spinal Tap's Marshall amp, takes you to the 11. Thanks for checking in for another video, guys. That's it for now. The headers, like I said, they're on the car, and I've now got to just finish putting it back together, and then I'll be testing that out. First up, I'll have full end-to-end Soul Performance exhaust. I'm gonna have the Soul headers, the Sport Cats, and the valved exhaust. And then I'm gonna be pitching that against the full end-to-end factory PSE setup. And then we'll also put in a couple of variations there, maybe with the headers and the Sport Cats, but the factory muffler, I'm not sure. We're gonna mix it up a little bit, but at least a full end-to-end Soul comparison against the full end-to-end PSE with maybe at least one variation there in the middle. Other content as well coming up. I've got more things to be installing in the car. I've also got some jobs coming up on my Cayenne. Like, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you in another video soon. Thanks, bye.